taking in and sending out. And in that taking in and sending out, you also become enlightened, stronger, literally, physically, mentally, emotionally. You have no fear about taking that negativity to yourself. You want the well-being of that individual and expand it out to the others in your family or circle of friends, seeing them completely realized, removing all the things that are obstacles or impediments to them realizing their own Buddha nature, sending out all the qualities that will help them realize that, and instantly they become Buddhas. And then expand it to include the whole planet. And beings of all realms throughout the multiverse. So it's a relatively simple practice to do, inhaling in the bad karma and exhaling out all of our happiness and well-being and good karma in that way, generating this strong sense of love and compassion for someone who is dear to us, and then expanding that out to include all beings. It can be done in just a few minutes, or it can be done in as much time as you have to do this practice. It can be extended out. You know, some people worry, well, how could I do that? You know, I'm going to be taking on this negative karma. It's going to make me sick. But it is not like that. In fact, if you can do it without that sense of self in that way, that is really the essence of the practice, is that we're willing to take whatever that is on for the benefit of other beings. And there's lots of stories about the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, the daring, courageous thing practices they've done for the benefit of others. But this is a way to generate this bodhicitta, or the mind of enlightenment. Any question about that one? Any comment about? Yes, please.
Is it all right to close your eyes?
Oh, it's fine to close your eyes, yes. You can close your eyes doing that. Yes, absolutely, it's okay. Are there any other questions about the practice? Do you feel like you could go home and do the practice and make it your own and continue to do that? This is one of the really wonderful exercises to cultivate this bodhicitta, which is Sanskrit for the mind of awakening. And this is what is crucial to one's development on the path, is this development of bodhicitta. Without it, your practice will really be hollow. You know, it won't have you won't have the compassion, loving kindness that's necessary to really move along the bodhisattva path. You know, if you're just working for your own liberation, that is the Hinayana path. It doesn't matter if you're in a Mahayana school, or it's your intention, again, that matters. And, you know, you could be thinking you're a Vajrayana practitioner, but if you're doing this for your own benefit, and you just want to end samsaric, this wheel of birth and death, and want to experience nirvana, and just are doing that for your personal liberation, that's a Hinayana practice. You may think you're, you know, in a Mahayana school practicing Mahayana, but if your intention and your aspiration is such of just your own personal liberation, that is Hinayana. So again, it's a very individual kind of thing. So when we say, who's doing what, it's hard to know what the aspiration and intention of that individual is. But if you're working for the benefit of others, in cultivating bodhicitta, that is a Mahayana activity. That is the way of the bodhisattvas. So what kind of practice should you have when you leave? We were mentioning that a little bit before. And you have maybe a little table, puja table, and you have Khenpo Rinpoche has, there's a monogram or a teaching on the shrine that is available in the bookstore, and you can learn more about that. An image of the Buddha, and usually you'll have 7 bowls on your shrine table. And the 7 bowls can be filled with water, but each of those bowls represent a particular offering. And it's not like the Buddhas need water or food or incense, but it is your offering, your generosity, your giving, your generosity that you're cultivating. So these 7 offering bowls that are on the shrine are for water, drinking water. They're for washing. It's often called foot water because in India, you wash the feet and do that. The feet of the guru are often very respected, and when you see the teacher, you touch his feet. That's still a tradition in India. So foot water, but washing water. Flowers, incense, light in the form of candles, perfumed water, food, and sound. Usually there's a bell or a conch or something like that that's in the bowl. But you can just put water in there that represents each of those 7 things, 7 bowls filled with water, each representing these things. You don't have to have the actual objects in there, but if you are so inclined, you can have the water bowls, and you can have rice in the other bowls, and the objects, whether it be food or a bell or light or those kinds of things. But you'll see that on shrines, these offering bowls, and that's what they represent. And there's a shrine keeper, and at your house what you would do is, if you had this shrine, in the morning you would turn over your bowls, because at night, at the end of the day, you empty out the water and wipe them out and put them down. And then in the morning you turn them over, fill them with this offering of these different things that we talked about. And again, this can be you can look at Rinpoche's teaching on this to clarify it more. And you make your offering. It remains through that you do your sitting practice. You sit with the idea of gratitude and well-being, one-pointed concentration in Shinei, quieting the mind, and then this giving and receiving, Tonglen practice, and then dedicate the merit of your practice for the benefit of all sentient beings, like we've done at the end of each of our sessions. And for as much time as you have, whether it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half hour, you could do this practice. Some of you may be engaged in a yidam practice or guru yoga, so doing the Chenrezig practice or other practices that you do, then you would do that practice as well. But all these things, this is the map that we talked about to get us to the destination, part of the path to enlightenment. So we have these props in a certain kind of way, but they all are for generating basically merit and wisdom, bodhicitta. And many methods, there are many methods, and that really appeals to the many different types of mind streams that there are. That's why there are so many different teachings, because there are so many different aptitudes and strengths for each individual. And you'll be attracted to a particular teacher, a particular practice, whether it's the Chenrezig practices we were talking about before, or Manjushri or Tara, or these things as a yidam practice, but that is considered very important to do, the yidam practices, particularly as you progress along the path and with a teacher to do the generation stage practices and the completion stage. Remembering that These yidam practices, you're generating a particular field of merit in your visualization, and then you dissolve it and rest in the empty state, non-dual state of enlightenment, natural mind. So this is kind of the how we progress along the path in a nutshell. Are there any particular questions about that so far? About anything that we've covered so far this weekend? Yes, please. The underlying ground of all this is our Buddha nature and how we awaken it. So first of all, we have the ground of Buddha nature, and then to get rid of the kleshas and the obscurations that obscure it. Yes, sir.
Can you speak a little bit about looking for a teacher? What are the characteristics we should be looking for? Mm-hmm. And perhaps explain a little about what kind of relationship we have with the teacher. How often do we see the teacher? Can you see your teacher or communicate with your teacher by email?
Nowadays, yes, absolutely. It's done a lot. I get a lot of emails. But not all teachers do it that way, but it certainly is a very common way to do that. Well, the teacher should embody the qualities they're talking about, for one thing. The teacher should be honest and open with you about their capacity to teach and about your capacity as a student, and to be upfront and clear with you, because it is a very important relationship. And there are many people out there who claim to be teachers, and one needs to have their due diligence about who they choose as their personal guide in this particularly important journey. So to a certain degree, you do have to trust your instincts. But if they come from a pure lineage, a true lineage, and they're regarded as teachers in that lineage, and they're available to you, which is important. It's nice to have access to them, but by email, by phone, by those kinds of things, sometimes living too close to the teacher is not a good thing. And you might see faults in the teacher that you say, oh, well, this is not good. This is not what I want in a teacher. But it is a very individual kind of process. But open, honest, coming from an authentic lineage, I think is important. Having trust in their capacity, and as you move along the path in the Vajrayana, you see them as the Buddha. They are the Buddha. And you have to have that confidence in them as they transmit the highest teaching to you. They represent that to you. Without fail, that is a very important aspect. So having trust, confidence, and faith in the teacher as you progress along the path, it becomes increasingly important. And it is a personal relationship, so you do need to have access to them so that you can ask the questions about your meditation as you progress along the path. So they need to be accessible at some level, even if it's email. But seeing your teacher, I don't see Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche that often. Since I've left retreat, he's often at Karmeling with the retreatants. Or this last 10-day retreat, I was moving and didn't have the opportunity to see him. But there are other teachers and lamas, but having a particular teacher that you have that connection with becomes increasingly important. Did that answer your question? Okay. Yeah, having faith and confidence in the teacher and seeing them really as an enlightened source of refuge. We're taking refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. In a sense, the teacher really becomes the Buddha. That's the highest source of refuge. And it's tough for us as Westerners to do that sometimes. I mean, we're so used to being independent and to think that someone knows more than us, or that we're going to. I mean, we tend to be. Well, it's not easy. So developing this relationship really brings up all of our stuff. And that's good, because that's the stuff we want to get rid of. What else? In your personal practice, so you know how to go home and set up a shrine. And then doing a regular practice every day. Even if the sitting is just a short period of time, it is still, you make that time to do your practice. And people ask, what is the best time? You know, should I do it in the morning? Should I do it in the evening? The best time to do your practice is when you do it. So if you start the day that way, it'll have an effect, you know, as you go through the day. And if you do it at the end of the day, it'll help you sleep, it'll help your dreams, it'll, you know, kind of chill out the day. But the doing of it is the most important. The timing is not so important. It's the most important thing is making the time for it, whenever that is. And then, you know, if you can stick to the same time, that's good. Just like, you know, we say have certain times that we eat, we have certain times that we sleep, we have certain times that we do these things, we have certain times that we meditate. And it just then becomes easier to put it in our routine. We know that this is the amount of time we have, we plug it in, and there it is. Without expectation, you know, good, bad, or indifferent, we're going to just sit, do the practice, develop these qualities, and begin to loosen up the hold of this ego and these habitual tendencies that have created so much problems for us in the past. Please.
So I already have a sense of how you're going to answer this, and I know there's not a recipe, but sometimes I struggle with, is it within a sitting or cross sittings? When do you do Tonglen? When do you do mantra? When do you do focusing on your breath? When do you focus on metta? So sometimes I struggle with how to balance all of those.
How have you been doing it?
Whatever sort of just, when I sit, whatever, I have no recipe, whatever sort of just comes to me.
How much time do you usually spend in the activity, would you say?
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
To be fair, yeah.
Fine.
But then I sometimes squeeze it all in. If I notice I'm getting tired, then I move to something. Sometimes I feel like there should be sort of a more reliable context for what I do.
It'll change. You may spend more time in Tonglen, you may spend more time in Shinei, you may spend more time, you know, in your mantra recitation.